Hey everybody, and welcome to this week's garden video. It's going to be a little bit shorter this week. Not a lot was done in the garden, but one of the first tasks I did early last week was I harvested my thyme and I spent time picking it out. I actually do cook with sprigs of thyme, which is so much easier because you don't need individual leaves, but I do pull quite a few leaves off like you see me doing here, and I end up drying those out. I leave them on a tray out in the sun for a couple days till they dry out, and I include these with my oregano and other things in sort of my Italian mix of herbs that I create each year. So that was a task I did this week. I also went out and I always keep a look at what's going on in the garden, and this is my cauliflower, and what you can see is a couple of them aren't doing as well. They're in various sizes and shapes, and this particular one and a couple of these have kind of flopped over. I don't understand what's going on. They don't look like there's any insect damage or anything, but they're not doing well. I think it actually might be wind. I think they kind of sit proud. They kind of sit up on top of the soil, and I just wonder if the wind blowing around kind of throws them around, knocks them over, and kind of disturbs the roots a bit or something. I'm not exactly sure what's going on. Only a couple of them are doing that, but I did take time and I sort of reburied it a little bit deeper, pulled off a couple leaves, and we're gonna see, we're just gonna test. We're gonna see what happens. I also noticed that some of my scarlet runner beans scarlet pole beans and my cucumbers were pretty much ready to go. Everyone knows I don't spend a lot of time letting things grow in pots before I get them in the ground, so I put the rest of my cucumbers out in the ground as well as my pole beans. And as everyone knows who knows me, I have a salad at least a day. I love salad. So people might look at this little patch of lettuce, I say little, and think that, oh my gosh, that's so much lettuce, how can you possibly eat it all? And I make the salad the meal. Like the whole entire plate is mounded full of salad. You don't get anything else. So for me, I eat a lot of greens. I eat a lot of lettuce. For me, this is the perfect size lettuce patch. In fact, it might even be a little small. But for me, it's perfect. And so I'm really excited when it comes to this time of year and I get to start harvesting it because, yeah, I love me a good green salad. The other task I did is I had a bunch of squash left over, those pumpkins that I'd started, and a couple weeks ago, maybe it was last week, I'm not sure, I went out onto the septic mounds, which you see me doing here, and I cut little strips of landscape fabric, and I put them on top of all the weeds and the grass and stuff, and I wanted to give these pumpkins just a little bit of space from the weeds, so I thought this was a good way to do that, and then I cut a hole in it and just kind of put the pumpkin in there, and so the pumpkin leaves can come out, and it gives them just a little bit of breathing room around all the stuff that's going out there. Yeah, so here you just see me spending time putting the pumpkins in the ground on the septic mound. We have 3 mounds back there, and so I have got pumpkins on each one of them. I put them on the sunny side and anything, but it's so funny. I'm out here and you see me, it's hard to tell in this time lapse, but I'm like, what's going on? What's going on? And then I run away. Well, there's a bee's nest in the ground that I found, and so they were attacking me. They came out. I heard a noise. I'm like, what's going on? And so anyway, I gave it a little bit of time. I gave them time to settle back down, and then I went back out and finished a job of very gingerly putting those plants in the ground. But here we are today, and there's some zucchini in the background, 3 of them in a row, a little bit of spinach, and here are my beets that are, everything's growing nicely. These are the beets that I left in the ground last year to go to seed, and oh my lord, they're huge, and this is going to be an adventure to see what happens there. You see my raspberries on my left, followed by garlic and some strawberries and some dahlias in the middle there. This is where my berries are, as well as a couple butternut squash on either end of the berries, and then my asparagus bed. And I was gone for a couple days, and I came out, and I have another baby asparagus. So that's very exciting. So now I've got 2. Here's kind of a general look at the rest of my garden. You see my cucumbers here in the foreground, my corn growing in the middle, my peas back a little bit. I've got my pole bean structures ready to go up here in the front and all my pole beans planted along the bottom. So things are really, this is kind of a fun time of year because most everything's in the ground and I'm just waiting for it to grow. Here you see my onions at the bottom and then my potatoes, and then kind of over here you see my carrots kind of in the middle of the screen there along with my tomatoes in the background. But oh my gosh, this is one of those things that's super frustrating. I have moles in the garden, so I'm going to be setting up a mole trap, I think, to try to catch these because that's super annoying to come out and find this morning. Here's a look at my peas in the background and my tomatoes, and then that's my cauliflower row behind there and my broccoli, which is really big, and in the background you see sort of my lettuce. But everything, yeah, it's in the ground, it's growing, it's doing well. And here's another look, close-up look at those cauliflower. You see how they're varying in sizes and this and that. And I didn't zoom back in on the one that I planted more upright, but it's still got green leaves. It's still kind of doing okay, so I've got hope that it'll grow into a nice big plant. Also super exciting, I've got strawberries and those are pea flowers, so I've got peas coming in soon. So that's what's happening in the garden this week, and I thought I'd just leave you with a little shot of the animals out in the field.